I am Enchantress Shane, the founder of the Awkward Academy, and I was just interviewed by the amazing Keith Andrew. I am so excited and proud. Keep up the good work. Don't let anybody else's truth about you keep you down. Keep on going. You're awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Keith Andrew. You're the one and only KeithAndrewNetWork. Today on the KeithAndrewNetWork, we have the beautiful and talented Enchantress Shane. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
No, absolutely. You know, the whole point of my talk show is to show people that I can't even speak. Whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you are to be. It's to prove to them you can still amount to something. So hashtag break the labels. With that being said, half hour, 33 minutes of your time. Say anything you want, freedom of speech. Keeping in mind it is PG-13, so no F-bombs, but you can say anything else. But the first thing I do want to plug is June 15th, I'm having my 6th annual anniversary in Central Valley, New York. Anyone who's interested in going, let me know. I do want to talk to you about that off the air. But the first question is, you mentioned that you are a New Yorker and you're from the Rockaways. What interests you in moving there, or were you born and raised?
So I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised in Brooklyn, and living here, it feels like there's a lot of creative and special people who have a different drumbeat. And the ocean is right like 20 feet from my door, and that's really important.
No, absolutely. I bet it's beautiful out there.
Yeah.
Now, let me know, what about, let's say, it's perfect to be near the beach. My mother loves the beach. But what's bad about being by the beach is, yes, you can see the storms blow in, but if you're a hurricane, you're pretty much crap out of luck.
Yeah, I try not to think about that. But, we've had some beautiful weather. I like all weather. I like snowstorms. I like rainstorms, all of it. I think it's all pretty exciting.
No, absolutely. Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, when you were growing up, did you do any sports? And when you went to college, were you a party animal or a study nerd?
So I never participated in sports. There was something about that social endeavor that did not interest me at all. And then in college, I felt I was really pretty self-loathing throughout high school and junior high school. And so when I got to college, I was determined to feel cool. So I joined a sorority. So we partied a bunch. And studying was not a priority. Mostly because, actually, it feels important to share. I never was a great student. I'm really good at learning through talking, but reading and studying, it never penetrated my brain. I was never a great test taker. And so I didn't really like school until I did my master's in special education, because I got to really learn about behavior. And I'm super passionate about behavior and special needs, but really all people have special needs, and like tuning in to looking at everybody's needs. That's like a genuine interest of mine.
No, absolutely. And the first question I was going to ask you is, before we go into the hard-hitting ones, is, what were, trying to find it different, what was your major in? What did you figure out this is what I want to do for the rest of my life? But when you went to college, what exactly did you major in? Did your major change, or did you, did it stay on the course?
Such a good question. So I started out as a marketing major because I wanted to shop for other people. And then I left college one day just in tears. Like, I'm not a numbers person. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll be a teacher. I like kids. And so I started learning early childhood education, and I found that kids were so much more fun than spreadsheets and accounting. And I figured part of me that's like a survival person is like, well, I'll always have a job. And I don't know if back then I thought I could do this forever, but I've been, evolving since then. And then my master's is special education because that's what seemed like the most fun at the time. But I had no idea it was going to change my life.
No, absolutely. In the one question I asked everyone, of course they make fun of me for this, is what were some of your favorite activities when you were in high school and college? And did you ever get the chance to do one of those human pyramids, or not into the whole pyramid stuff?
Like physical human pyramid?
Yeah.
Yeah, in high school, I really didn't like myself. I just wanted to be accepted and liked. I liked acting. I was in a performance my very last year, and that was a seed planted for later on. And in college, I just liked a lot of shopping. I'm not a physical person. I don't enjoy physical activities unless it's like intimacy. But so I did a lot of shopping and a lot of hanging out with friends, like human connection. I'm really excited about.
No, absolutely. I love that stuff. I'm a loser.
Oh, don't call yourself names.
And you mentioned you didn't like yourself in high school. Everyone can relate to that. But especially me, because how I am today, it's not how I was, 12, 13 years ago. So I was who I was today back then. I would have done things totally differently.
Yeah.
Because back then, I was on the outside, I'm looking in, still in a case, but I was a loner, I was antisocial. Now I kind of am a little still antisocial, but it's better than what I was.
Yeah, it's like I feel I can relate to that, but I also have surrounded myself with people who were antisocial. So that group is really huge because we're really transparent and truthful, and everyone's working on themselves. So there's no more, or maybe I'm not aware of it, but there's no more cool club. Like everyone's invited.
Right.
I'm really passionate about inclusion of all kinds because we're in this humanhood together, and it's important that we relate to people that are the same and people that are different.
No, I agree with you, and that brings up the next question, is that you actually are a life and spiritual coach. So the first question I was going to ask you is, who influenced you and what influenced you to start that kind of work?
You're asking such good questions. So I was taking my master's in special education, and I was learning about children with autism. And at the same time, so they were an inspiration to me, like huge little kids on the spectrum. And at the same time, I started taking improvisational acting. And my teachers there, Erin Flowers and Carl Stilitano, they teach at the Open Door Acting Company. They teach from such a big heart, and it's not about being an actor. It was about being a better version of myself. But it wasn't therapy, it was therapeutic. And so my soul got to play, just like little kids do. But it was called acting, and it's improv, so there's no script to remember. You just get up there, and I was trained to be real in imaginary circumstances. So I, for the first time in my life, I was like feeling my feelings, and not like squashing them down. Like anger was allowed, sadness was allowed, and I would never allow those things. I didn't even know how. I just thought like, put that away. Nobody should see that. So that changed my life dramatically. I stopped doing any partying. I dropped a bunch of friends, and I just went to acting class for 2 years every week. And nothing else.
No, that's amazing. And what was your very first breakthrough that said, I'm on to something?
Oh, so good. Oh, my goodness. So I was working with children with autism in a really boring way. And after work, I would feel so tired. My head would be like falling asleep. And I went to this acting class, and I left there, and I felt awake. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I went back a second time. This time I was like hungry, cranky, tired. I was working in Brooklyn. This was in the Upper West Side. It's like an hour in, traffic. And I got there, I did the class, and then I left more energy, more hope, more ideas. And I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. And that to me was the biggest breakthrough, because I thought I had to suffer. I thought I had to work with these kids, and like I couldn't really reach them. And I was just thinking about the money I was making, and I felt terrible. I felt out of integrity. So then going to this class and leaving there, I realized the energy is what matters. And so working with these kids, I stopped working with them in the proper way, and I started playing with them. And everything changed. They started to look at me, they started to pay attention to me, and I became more present. I wasn't just trying to get them to learn, which they didn't like. They were like, I'm 4. I don't want to learn. I want to play. And so that taught me such a big lesson, is that we're all energy, and anything we think can be questioned.
No, I agree with you 100%. Now, the next one I was going to ask you is, you mentioned that you were also a motivational speaker.
Yes. So I began doing motivational talks to educators and professionals who were working with children with special needs. And then I realized, like, parents need this information, because they were all so worried and so freaked out that their kids had some kind of disability that they forgot to play with them as kids, and they forgot to be present with them. They just were in worry land. So I started talking to parents and just giving them experiences, not just talking to them, but having them do little exercises that got them to be present. So when their child was acting up, they would see it as communication and not like, oh, a tantrum.
Yeah.
And that felt so powerful. And so from doing, professional developments with teachers and educators to parents, and then I realized, like, we all need this motivation. We all have like voices in our heads that are like, you're not good enough. What your whole show is about. When you get a label, it's like the label comes with all this stuff that's really limiting. And it's actually not even true. You can do whatever you want. And so if you believe in yourself, even just a little bit, and you have a community that's like, we believe in you, this is great, then you can keep climbing and stay motivated and do things that are unimaginable to people who are like, oh, judging or stuff like that.
No, I totally agree with you. For an example, I'm on the spectrum of being retarded, and I read and learn at a 5th grade level. And because of that, I was never able to go to college. And people always said I was going to be a burden and be placed in a group home for the rest of my life. So, and I got tired of hearing my brother complaining, saying, I don't know what to do with my life. And I mentioned it before. We're at the kitchen table. My parents would say, oh, talk to your sister, talk to your brother. They know people. They can put you in the right direction. And I'm like, what about me? And they stop saying, what about you? You're not educated. You're not qualified. You never went to college. Can't hold down a job. You don't shut up. Even though that is true. I do have diarrhea on the mouth. And it's just like one of those other things. Like, not educated, not qualified. Let's see. Trying to think off the top of my head. Not educated, not qualified. Can't hold down a job. Never went to college. Not certified to do anything. And I said, screw it. I'm going to show you. With a disability, look at what I'm able to accomplish. And for almost 6 years, right? For almost 6 years, I'm showing you, look at what someone can do who reads and learns at a 5th grade level and who's on the spectrum being retarded.
Wow. I just fell in love with you. That's amazing. Yeah, it's so good. First of all, it's limitless. It's like what we're fed, we think is the truth because we're little kids. We don't know any better. But it's not our truth. It's someone else's truth.
No, I agree with you. And the thing I want to ask you is, you mentioned you are a life coach. life and spiritual coach and motivational speaker. What came first, and how do both of those intertwine?
Again, such a good question. So when I started to be present in my body, in my life, and I started to have like these awakened moments with children on the spectrum, I wanted the world to know what's possible. So I made a business card, and I took a yoga for the special child. She's another person that really changed my world. Sonia Sumar. She's a yoga teacher for children with special needs. And I was like, wait a minute. These kids are smarter than everybody because they're in their own world. They're not trying to like be cool or confine. Like they're just like, I'm doing what I'm doing. And so I was really inspired by them. And I would see behaviors that they would do. I'm going to give you one short story. I had a little boy who was nonverbal. His family moved from Egypt to this country for services. So the mom was super depressed. The dad was flying back and forth to Egypt for work. And this little boy didn't talk. And so one day I was like, I don't know what to do. So I took out my lavender spray, which for me, and I sprayed myself with it. So he's nonverbal. The next day I come back and he goes like this to me. Psh, psh. He communicated the sound of the lavender. And I was like, oh, he doesn't want my toys because the toys are here to teach him something. And I realized that these kids are magical and they can find amazing ways to communicate. They don't need to know how to say, can I have the lavender, please? Like, who cares? It was more fun for me to figure out what he wanted. And so I got super excited. And so motivational speaking was a part of me sharing my work. And I found this great place called Resources for the Special Child, I think in New York City. And they said, can we pay you? We'd love to have you do workshops and talks. And I was like, pay me? Pay me to talk? I've been in trouble my whole life in school for talking. And now I'm going to get paid to do it. And so what I realized is when kids are shut down, like, oh, stop playing with trains or stop talking so much, it's actually a possibility, a strong possibility, that it's their gift. And so I needed to coach parents on this because they were shaming their children for doing things that were really genius, and they didn't know any better. And I also needed every educator. So a lot of things just fell into my lap because when things are aligned, the universe really supports it. So they both really came hand in hand. Now I'd love to do more motivational speaking because everyone has to have this information.
Now, what was speaking of motivational speaking, do you do TED Talk? And what was your very first speaking event?
So my very first speaking event was at Resources for Children with Special Needs. And there was like about 50 parents. I spoke for 3 hours. I didn't give any breaks. I just couldn't stop. I had a bubble machine. I had hand puppets. I was explaining things. I was reading from text. I couldn't stop. And at the end, I asked for feedback. And one woman said, she's like, if we would have had a break, it would have been great. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think about it. So it was parents in New York City. Yeah.
Now, the next question I was going to ask you is, we talked about, high school and college and what you majored in, how you majored, you liked, as you mentioned, how one major transferred into another. But what is your main focus right now? Is everything you accomplished in your life, are you satisfied or do you think there's still more?
Oh, there's always more. So right now, the umbrella, I would say, is helping people face their fears. And, the name of my program is F Your Fears. So there's a curse in the first word. And the reason I'm really excited about that is the title itself, breaks our habits and patterns. Nobody curses in business, except I do. And I am educated, and so what? It doesn't really help me in any way, except I can have those letters. But I don't use any of my college knowledge, except that a really bad, quote unquote, student can actually finish something like that. I'm really proud of. But I really I'm right now so passionate about helping men and women accept their awkwardness and learn how to be intimate with each other, with themselves. So sometimes it includes sexuality. I'm not a sex coach, but there is intimacy in vulnerability, in connecting and making friends and maybe being romantic. But the idea that every human, no matter what age, shape, size, ability, deserves love and deserves intimacy and deserves attention. And so many times we just shut ourselves down. And so I'm really passionate about working with men and women that have labeled themselves too old, too fat, too stupid, but have a creative flair that they just haven't shown anybody.
Well, let's do this. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, with the last 13 minutes left, I'm going to pass the show over to you. I'm going to put you in the driver's seat, and I want you to tease my audience when we come back.
Cool.
Williams. This is Vanessa Lina. Adrian Lalo. I'm Cynthia Bastinet. I'm Sonia Fisher. This is Shane Smith. My name is Alexandra Bowie. This is Amelia Clover. Hi, I'm Amy Linden.
Hi, I'm Anita Nicole Brown. Meg Green.
Hi, my name is Asata Caldwell. Hi, everybody. I'm Brooke Percy.
Hi, I'm Brinford.
Hi, I'm Casey Dunn.
Hi, it's Cassandra Kavinsky.
Hi, I'm Christina Briza.
I'm Cindy Hogan.
I'm Courtney Sinella.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
My name is Deborah Jane East.
Hi, my name is Danielle Marcia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria London.
Hi, I'm Heather Crona.
Hi, I'm Heather Callahan Stevens.
Hi, I'm J. Nicole Ralph.
My name is Jamie Patrell.
My name is Turi. My name is Julia Brankovich.
Kathleen Wills.
Kimberly Amato.
Hi, my name is Laura Putton.
Hi, I'm Laura Chapanis. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Damas.
This is Michelle Mupo, a.k.a. Fuchsia. I'm Rachel Rivera.
Hi, my name is Sarah Joy Mount.
Hi, I'm Susan Winder.
Hi, everyone. This is Venus Leone.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Tana.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Herrera, and I was just on the Keith Andrew Network. It was tons of fun. We used up all our time and then some. I really recommend this show, and try to be a guest on Keith's show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 590. I'm here as the Enchantress Shane, and I just want to say thank you for being with us. Now, it's the last 13 minutes and counting. I'm going to pass it over to you. As we talked about, you are a life and spiritual coach and motivational speaker, and that's something I want to be, among other things, like becoming famous. But I'm going to pass the show over to you, and I want you to educate our audience. And for right now, I'm going to be your client. How can you help me improve on myself?
Amazing. Okay, so I would love to know your top 3 shoulds. Like, what are you telling yourself you should be doing?
Being passionate. Let's see, my main 3 is heart, passion, and determination.
So do you feel like you're doing that right now?
A little bit, but yes.
Yes. Okay, great. So what are you telling yourself you should be doing that you're not?
Be more professional, stay more focused, and tune out the negativity.
Okay, awesome. So those 3 things. So what if you took out the word should from your vocabulary and instead said, if I really wanted to, I could. So why don't we try that on? So say it out loud. Like, if I really wanted to, I could be more professional. Let's see. We'll see what oh, you're smiling already. But like, because when you said it the first time, you weren't smiling. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah. Sometimes I get excited and I talk fast. I'll slow down. So when we all, as humans, but when you said, I should be more professional, I should be more focused, I should be like not listening to the negative voices.
Yeah.
Your face was like, sad, like just drawn down, like heavy. And then when I said, change should, which is one of the most worst, awful words in our language, and change it to, if I really wanted to, I could be more professional, I could be more focused, I could erase those negative voices or negative things, you immediately had a smile and laughed.
I do.
Yeah, even now you're all lit up. So what do you get from that? Like just in the word, changing it from should to could, what do you notice?
Little energy in it.
Yeah. And which felt more exciting?
Could instead of should.
Yeah. And so it really goes along with your show well, and I want to give this to you, but all of you, the audience too. The word should is so damaging. It's so loaded with you're wrong, this is bad, you have to fix this problem. And so to remember it, I want everyone to remember, don't should on yourself. You get it? You get my little joke there? Yeah. Don't should on yourself? Great. Okay. And so that's one promise I want everybody to make, is that when we're telling other people to take the word should out, takes out the heaviness. Because there's punishment, and many schools and many families really deal with the punishment model. If you don't do this, this is going to happen. And that's terrible. That's not motivating at all. So if you walk around saying, oh, like a perfect example is most people say, I should go to the gym, right? That's a great example. So I should go to the gym feels like, oh, I'm such a loser, I'm fat, I'm unhealthy. But if I really wanted to, I could go to the gym. Then it creates a choice, right? And when you make a choice, you're in power. And so that's one piece. Do you have any questions so far?
No, I just find it very interesting.
Okay, cool. So the second thing I want to do with you is something called Right Now I Feel. And these are practices that we're doing that are so easy and simple. So they're just like, thank you. You don't have to learn a bunch or do much of anything. So our subconscious mind is always feeding us information. So the sentence, right now I feel, so I'll do a couple of them, and then you could do a couple of them, or we could go back and forth.
All right.
So before a stressful moment or before a radio show or before an interview, I always do this. So right now I feel, and I say either a sensation, a thought, or a feeling. So right now I feel a little pain in my head. Right now I feel connected to you. Right now I feel curious. Right now I feel motivated. Right now I feel my face smiling. So I'm just saying anything and everything that's happening in that moment. And we have 40 to 50,000 thoughts, probably more, every day. And it's a real skill to figure out which one should I focus on, which one should I ignore. And so when you say it out loud, it just helps like dump some parts of the brain that are just like noisy. Okay, so do you want to do it by yourself 3 or 4 times, or do you want to go back and forth?
Yeah, we tried the back and forth.
Okay, great. So, all right, so this time you go first. So you say, right now I feel, and then say 1 or 2 words.
Right now I feel engaged and passionate about what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Thank you. Right now I feel really excited and really grateful.
Right now I feel like I know this is what I want to do with the rest of my life, but my biggest thing is I just need to tune out all the negativity and say, that will always be there, but you have to stay focused on your goal and just take it like what people said, Walt Disney said, keep moving forward.
Right now I feel distracted. You go.
Let's see. Well, right now I feel that I'm being judged, but as long as I keep moving forward and keep doing the right thing, eventually everything will fall into place.
Okay, I think my friend is home, so I just want to share that. It might be a little noisy. I'm going to move. So my question to you is, do you feel judged right now with me, or is that something you're thinking about?
Well, I'm going to be honest, because I do my studio from my house.
Yeah.
I always have my sister or brother listening into the conversation.
Oh.
And then they always give me their feedback or comments about this or that, or, whatever. So I swear to God on my life, this is what I want to do to the day I die. But the biggest thing I feel is it doesn't matter what I do, it's never good enough, and everyone's still going to criticize you.
Okay. So I want to break this down a little bit. While that's going on later, right? Right now, I fully approve of you. I think and that's the truth. Like, I feel awesome. I feel amazing with you. I feel seen. I'm proud of you. I don't even know you that well. So the idea that your brother and sister give you feedback is happening later is fear-inducing. And it keeps you worried, right?
Yeah.
I come from a long line of worriers. There's nothing there's no helpfulness there. So it's okay, and I don't want to I don't know your family, but it's okay to say, I'm not ready for feedback yet. I feel really good about what I'm doing. And if you need to tell me feedback, you can write it down and I'll read it when I'm ready. Because it's not easy showing up. What you're doing is really brave and courageous. And so it's brave and courageous to be me too. And I'm not always ready for feedback, because that could make me feel really bad. And they probably love you. They just don't, not everybody's good about giving feedback. So how do you feel with me telling you that?
No, perfect.
Do you believe me?
Yes.
Okay. Great.
My thing is, I walk around with my emotions on my sleeve, and, I'm not the brightest person in the world. I'm not the dumbest person in the world. I do bring stuff on myself. I do admit that. And, like I said, I do stupid things to get a reaction from someone. But there's times where I can be serious, and they're like, they don't take me seriously. They just think, because I do the same thing. Oh, I give you an example. My dad would tell me something, and they were like, what's the point of telling him? He's only going to do what he wants to do anyway. And, okay, yeah, that's true. But I've been trying really hard to listen, and every day I constantly change myself. But I feel like, because I've been doing the same, shit every day, they are stuck in a rut saying, it doesn't matter. It's only a matter of time for him to do something, whatever.
So I want to give you this gift, a couple of gifts. But if you're attracting me into your world, whatever you see is great about me, you have it. I don't say yes to a lot of interviews. And so there was something about you that drew you into me. And so you're taking more of a risk than anybody who's the smartest person in the world who doesn't show themselves. You're being truthful. You're being transparent. I'm going to give you this. Here's what works about you. Your truth, your transparency, your care, how you care about people. The way you articulate things is so nourishing. Like, it makes me really understand. You're not trying to be something. You're just being your genuine, authentic self. And to me, that's like someone I want to hang out with. I don't care if somebody has education or money or whatever. I feel safe and excited and really connected to your energy. And not everybody's ready for that. And family is the hardest people to impress, But I think the rest of the world is really ready for you. And you're so brave to open yourself up to be coached by me live. That's incredible. Most people are like, Oh, I don't know. So your willingness to be vulnerable is priceless. Just so you know.
No, I appreciate it. I do have a couple questions for you off the air.
Okay.
But wrapping up our interview segment, my last two for you is how can people follow you on social media? Are you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram?
All of it. And I do have to celebrate and brag. I just hit 10,000 on Instagram. It's very exciting. So you can actually Google Enchantress Shane and follow me everywhere. There's a Facebook. If you're a woman listening, there's the Awkward Enchanted Coven. And then there's a men's and women's group called the Relational Embodied Intimacy Group. I love Instagram, so you can find me there at Enchantress Shane. But basically, just Google Enchantress Shane and you'll find everything.
No, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Cool.
And I do have some ideas for you off the air. And it's funny you should mention reaching your goal of 10,000. I've been asking people, long story short on my part, it's kind of stupid because I was asking people, hey, can you follow me? Can you follow me? But I've been working on my fan base because you can't do anything without a fan base.
Right.
So I've been saying, okay, I only follow people who I work with. Unless I really like you, then I'm making an exception. Like we did an interview, I would definitely follow you.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to get people who I worked with to follow me, and I'm very close to getting to 10,000. But, I have almost 1,000 on Instagram. I have 1,000 on Facebook, my fan page. I have 1,000 on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And after Instagram's up there, it's YouTube. That's the next thing. Yeah. But, that's this right here, not talking to you in my imaginary studio, that's my room. I want to do this for the rest of my life. Until I'm dead and 6 feet under. I'm not saying that to be cute. I'm not saying that to be funny. I really feel I found something that I can really do every single day instead of putting a mask on and just being miserable.
So good. And so shall it be. I have heard your desire, and let it happen as soon as in your pleasure.
In the last question I was going to ask you, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your first reaction? And after being a guest, how do you feel now, and would you recommend it to other people?
So my first reaction was like, wow, this guy's on top of it, because I didn't answer right away, and then you wrote again. And so I was impressed and also a little overwhelmed. And then when I looked at what you were doing, I'm like, oh, he's legitimate. And right now, I feel like high. Like I feel like the endorphins and oxytocin in my brain is being released, and that so grateful to you for you living your life and to be able to share this and create what you have going on behind you. To me, it's so perfect. So I feel really excited and proud, and I'm your fan, full on.
No, I appreciate it. I do have a couple questions for you off the air. Wrapping up, it's a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.
Yeah, same here. I look forward to sharing this with all my people.